Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, today we're going to be talking about the Men in Black and another encounter with the Black-Eyed Kids. Both accounts are very, very intriguing and scary, but we're going to start off with the first article, Black-Eyed Crouching Boy, a suburban haunting that defies skepticism near Niagara Falls, New York. Let's get into the encounter now and have an interesting time. In the quiet suburbs of Niagara Falls, a late-night laundry routine turned into a chilling encounter when a resident saw a small, contorted boy-like figure with jet-black eyes crouched at the foot of her bed. Was it a fleeting shadow, a paranormal intruder, or something far more sinister that still lingers in the dark corners of her home? Let's read the full account now. Hello, in April 2016, I moved to a quiet condo in the suburbs of Niagara Falls. I initially liked the place because when I first walked in, it felt like home. As a fellow sensitive person, I found the atmosphere calm and welcoming. However, in the last few weeks, I had been experiencing that familiar, creepy feeling of being watched. So, this place, it sounds like it could be haunted, but with the fact that what she encountered was a black-eyed kid, folks, maybe this was, or should I say this encounter was more alien than anything else. But let's read on and find out. One midweek evening, I stayed up late to finish the laundry while listening to the radio while ironing clothes and putting them away in my room and my son's. I walked into my room with the lights off. There I saw what I can only describe as a small figure crouched on all fours at the foot of my bed. It had dark black eyes and a boy's face, and I could even see the reflection of the outside light glinting in its eyes. Its body appeared contorted in a strange way as it crouched. I walked into the room completely oblivious, but when the figure turned and lifted its head to look at me, the expression on its face was almost a sneer. I dropped the laundry basket and exclaimed, "Nope." I backed away, and when I blinked, it was gone. As a skeptic myself, I went back in and turned on the lights. I checked for my cat and found him curled up on the couch, snoozing. My son was asleep in his bed. There was nothing on the floor that could have created the illusion I saw. Needless to say, I did not sleep in my room that night. I haven't seen the figure again, but if I do, I'll let you know, And I have to say, folks, what A encountered sounds like a typical, encounter with a ghost. But was it actually a black-eyed kid, folks? Usually in these kinds of accounts, you don't see the figures in the house unless the person who owns the property let them in. But we have to consider the fact that A here moved into this, home, and that perhaps this figure, this black-eyed kid, was already living in it already. Supposing, folks, that maybe a previous occupant had let one of these entities into their home, and now this entity now resides there. It's either that or, indeed, there's some lingering energy, a spirit, maybe tied to the property or the land itself that's been there for who knows how long. But until we have more information, we can only guess. But folks, from what I can see here, I would have to say that this sounds definitely that basically has aspects of both kinds of phenomena. Both an encounter with a ghostly apparition and a BEK. Now, let's move on to the next article, folks. Vanishing Men in Black, Hammond, Indiana encounter leaves witness shaken. In fact, I would imagine in this story, folks, that anyone encountering the MIB in such a manner would probably be shaken, as we're about to read. So let's get into it now. What happens when a seemingly ordinary afternoon turns into something out of a conspiracy thriller? On a spring day in 2012, one Indiana resident came face to face with two enigmatic figures, classic Men in Black, whose strange movements, sudden disappearance, and reappearance would forever haunt his sense of reality. Let's get into the full account now. Hi, on March 26, 2012, at 4 p.m., I was walking out of a store in Hammond, Indiana. As I looked across the street, I noticed two men in black suits, each wearing sunglasses, holding black umbrellas. They were standing completely still, which made me feel paranoid because I have a keen interest in conspiracies and aliens, and I had read about the Men in Black. As I walked away and got about 100 feet in front of them, I noticed that they crossed the street and began to follow me. Their movement was unusual, not typical of how a regular person would walk, not that it was implying they weren't human. When I turned the corner and looked back, they had vanished. It was strange because there was nowhere they could have gone so quickly, and I kept glancing behind me. After I got home, I waited about 30 minutes before going back to see if I could find them or learn more about them. As I turned the corner, I spotted one of them. I was so startled that I fell, and one of the men approached me with a very odd movement. I managed to get up before he could reach me and ran back home R. I would have to say that R was very lucky here, folks. Could this have been an encounter with maybe government agents, perhaps? But the fact that they were, so oddly dressed, while also holding umbrellas, folks, I would love to ask R one further question. Was the day rainy, perhaps, folks, or cloudy? Because I would love to know, folks, why these two men were holding umbrellas if it were sunny. Not to mention the way they were moving, the way R described. It makes me think that even though R thought they could possibly be human, they were anything but. Perhaps these are the rumored men in black that are of alien origin, perhaps? But we can't be for sure. Let's read on, though, because we're not through. Note, the encounter in Hammond, Indiana, on March 26, 2012, at approximately 4 o'clock p.m., a Hammond, Indiana resident stepped out of a local store unaware that his life was about to intersect with one of the most chilling archetypes in UFO and conspiracy lore. As he looked across the street, he immediately noticed two men dressed identically, black suits, sunglasses, and each holding a black umbrella, despite there being no apparent need for one. The pair stood completely motionless, their eerie stillness evoking an instinctive sense of paranoia in the witness, particularly since he had a strong interest in alien-related conspiracies and was already familiar with stories of infamous men in black. The silent pursuit. As the witness walked further down the street, he realized the two figures had begun to move. They crossed the street and appeared to follow him. Their gait was strange and unsettling, almost mechanical, unlike the fluid motion of an ordinary pedestrian. Though he did not want to jump to conclusions, their behavior made it difficult not to consider that something was profoundly unnatural about them. When he turned the corner, the witness glanced back, but the men were gone. The street was clear, and there was nowhere nearby they could have vanished so quickly. This sudden disappearance only deepened his unease. The terrifying reappearance. After reaching home, the witness couldn't shake what he had experienced. Roughly 30 minutes later, he gathered his courage and returned to the same street, hoping to make sense of what had happened. To his shock, one of the men was still there. The sight startled him so much that he stumbled and fell. As he scrambled to regain his footing, the figure approached, but again with that same unnerving, unnatural movement. Overcome with fear, the witness managed to get up and run back home, too frightened to look back. Reflections on the Hammond Men in Black. The details of this account are striking in their alignment with the broader Men in Black phenomena: silent and still observation, inexplicable vanishings, mechanical movements, and a psychological effect that induces paranoia and fear in the witness. Whether these figures were government agents, interdimensional entities, or something else entirely remains an open question. What cannot be denied is the chilling impact they left on this Hammond resident, an experience that continues to resonate with the eerie legacy of the Men in Black that everyone knows about, folks. So indeed, a terrifying account. What were these beings, folks? Were they perhaps interdimensional interlopers? And much like the first story we read about today, folks, with that black-eyed kid that was seen crouching in front of the witness in her room, folks, was it also some sort of interdimensional interloper? Or were these accounts describing alien encounters, folks? Perhaps beings of an extraterrestrial origin? And is there any real difference between basically being an interdimensional interloper and an extraterrestrial being? I don't really think so, folks, because there's a good chance that they are basically all one and the same. Perhaps these alien beings have the technology to basically enter other dimensions, and they use this as a way to basically perhaps teleport around. Because remember, these two men in black and the black-eyed kid disappeared, so maybe what they did was just teleport away, folks, but we can't be for sure. Until more information about such phenomena becomes available, folks, we can only theorize on the truth, as I've said before, folks. Either way, we're at the end. So please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics that are bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions or the chat to go subscribe to me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure to hit the part of the bell. They'll give you all future notifications, and please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video. So be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.